Hello students, our next topic is force and laws of motion part 2. In part 1 we have already discussed about the main terms like inertia, momentum, force, their units. Okay, now is the time to do the three laws of motion, because this required that prerequisite knowledge. So we did that video first. Now comes the three laws of motion. Okay, so first, Newton's first law of motion: an object remains in state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. Now this force has to be unbalanced force. If a balanced force is acting, then the effect of force is not visible. We can't say force is acting because net force is zero in that case. But if unbalanced force is acting, then it may change the state of motion of the object. That means if an object is at rest, it may remain at rest. If object is moving, it may change its speed, it may slow down, it may become fast, it may change its direction. Okay, so this is the reason, if the statement only is similar to that of the inertia, so that's why this law is also known as law of inertia. Then Newton's second law of motion: the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to applied unbalanced force in the direction of force. So this is the law which actually tells us how to find the unbalanced force. Okay, so rate of change of momentum, so that is change in momentum upon the time in which the momentum changes. Dp by dt or delta p by delta t is the formula. Okay, so second law, you see, the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to applied unbalanced force in the direction of the force. Okay, so here the force is equal to change in momentum with change in time. So change in momentum divided by change in time. Mv is the formula for momentum. So dmv means change in momentum upon dt is change in time. So that can be written as m1 v1 is final momentum, m0 v0 initial. So change in momentum upon t1 minus t0 is the change in the time interval in which this change of momentum takes place. Now if mass doesn't change, if m1 and m0 is same, which is m, I can take it as constant, and then in bracket what is left is v1 minus v0 upon t1 minus t0, which is acceleration. So F is equal to ma. We get F is equal to ma. This is a relation which we get from second law. F is equal to ma is not second law, but it is an application. From the application of second law, we get F is equal to ma. Okay, now the terms which we use like force, acceleration, momentum and velocity, all are vector quantities, and each has both magnitude as well as direction because they are vector quantity. Now Newton's third law of motion: when one object exerts a force on another object, the second object instantaneously exerts a force back on the first. These two forces are always equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. So in other words, in short, you can say that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. But here you remember that these forces act on different objects and never on the same object, and this is the reason they cannot cancel each other. Action and reaction cannot cancel each other because they don't act on same object, they act on different objects. Now here you see this case. This man is holding two suitcases on top of his head. So weight of these two suitcases acting on the man, it is pushing the man downward, that is action. And as a reaction will act on these suitcase. So suitcase is not falling down because there is a normal reaction taking place on these suitcase because of this man. So reaction is taking place on suitcase and action is taking place on the man holding the suitcase. Now this is a very simple activity which actually tells us that action and reaction are equal and opposite. Here this is a wooden support which doesn't immovable, and in this hook there is a spring balance, there is another spring balance hooked to it, and when you pull this one spring balance, you are actually applying force on this. So this is action in this direction. But then what will happen? There will be same, whatever reading you get here, same reading is also seen here. This is a reaction, this is action, there is a reaction on this, and there is a force, this is trying to keep it this side. So reaction is in the opposite direction and the magnitude is same because they read same. So this shows that action and reaction forces are equal and opposite. Then this is another example, gun and bullet. So if you fire a bullet, when you press the trigger, there is a force which acts on the bullet, and because of that the bullet accelerates in the forward direction. That same amount of, that is action on the bullet, same amount of reaction takes place on the gun. Okay, and it is the recoil in the backward direction. So force is same, but the acceleration of the gun is very less as compared to bullet. Why? Because mass of gun is very large as compared to bullet, so its acceleration will be less because acceleration is force upon mass, inversely proportional to mass. Now this is, in this example, this man is just jumping out of the boat. So in order to jump out of the boat, he is pushing the boat backward, that is action on the boat, and as a reaction he gets a forward push. Okay, so this is reaction, this is action, this is reaction. Now here you see, in this case there are two children standing on carts which is connected with the wheels, and this boy is already holding a bag. Okay, this bag and boy together they make one system. Okay, so they all of them are stationary, but when this boy throws this bag out of his hand, okay, he's pushing, he's throwing it out, he's pushing the bag away from him. So that is action on the bag. So there will be a reaction, the bag will react, will exert a reaction on this boy in the opposite direction, in the backward direction. So boy will move backward because of the reaction. Now when we consider this girl, this bag was not a part of this girl's system. She was alone, and this bag is coming from some outside, so the bag is exerting force, it's an external force on her, so she will move backward. Okay, now you see expression, second law says force is dp by dt. Okay, now vector, this arrow is a vector symbol because force and momentum are vector, but in our class we generally consider straight line motion, so even if we don't write that vector symbol, it's okay. Okay, now when proportionality constant is removed and equal to sign is kept, so it becomes k dp by dt. Okay, and in SI system the value of k is 1, so it just f is equal to dp by dt. Now dp is delta p, change in momentum, so final momentum minus initial momentum. Now in straight line motion, final momentum will be mv and initial momentum will be mu. Okay, so when so force is equal to final momentum minus initial momentum upon time in which this change takes place, so mv minus mu upon t. So now you can take m common as it is constant, v minus u by t. If you remember chapter motion, this is from the first equation of motion, v minus u by t is acceleration, so we get ma, f is equal to ma. Now second law of motion can explain first law of motion as well as third law of motion. Now how does it happen? So basically second law is the ultimate law. Now you see f is equal to dp by dt, this is the statement of the second law, delta p by delta t we can write. Now f is equal to mv minus mu by t, that we get from this expression delta p by delta t. Okay, now but if f is equal to 0, now your first law says that if no external force acts on a system, then the state of motion of object will not change. So till here this is second law. Now if external force is 0, so I have written if external force is 0, f is 0, so this here I can substitute 0, so 0 is equal to mv minus mu by t. Okay, now so when t is multiplied here, we get 0 is equal to mv minus mu, then you take this on that side, that will become positive. Now m and m can get cancelled, and what we get is v is equal to u. So your final velocity is equal to initial velocity. That means if initially object is at rest, finally also it will remain at rest. If initially object was moving with some velocity in a direction, same velocity and direction will continue even in the final velocity. So there is no change in state of motion if external force is 0. This is what the first law said. So from second law, using second law we can prove first law. Now second law of motion also explains third law of motion. For that we will start with two objects a and b moving with velocity ua and ub. Okay, if ua is greater than ub, definitely a will hit b and there will be interaction between them. A will exert some force on b, b will exert some force on a, and then they will move with some different velocity. Now we will find out what exactly are the forces acting on them. So force on a will be change in momentum of a upon time. So final momentum of a will be ma-va. My initial momentum of a is ma-ua upon t. When you take ma common, we get this, and this expression is acceleration of particle a. va minus ua upon t is acceleration, so this is ma into acceleration of a. Now see what happens to b. So force on b will be final momentum of b minus initial momentum of b upon time. That means mbvb minus mbub upon t. Okay, and so if we take mb common, we get this expression. Now you see, if external force is 0, so momentum is conserved. We know that if external force is 0, that's what law of conservation of momentum says, that if no external force is acting on a system, then the total momentum of system is conserved. That means total initial momentum of A plus initial momentum of B will be equal to total final momentum of the system. So final momentum of A plus final momentum of B. Okay, now when you take MA term on one side and MB term on the other side, this will go here and become negative, this will come here and become negative. Now from here MA can be taken common and from here MB can be taken common. So on taking those common terms we get this, and then you divide both sides with t, time t. Okay, so this term becomes from here if I take minus common, okay, let's take minus common, then it will become VA minus UA here. Okay, on taking minus VA, now this term is, except minus, this whole term is force acting on object A, FA, and this whole term is force acting on object B, FB. So you see minus FA is equal to FB. So FA and FB, force on A and B are equal but opposite in direction. So we proved from second law, we started and we proved the third law. Okay, now conservation of momentum. What exactly is, if no external force is acting on a system, then the total momentum of the system is conserved. We just used this information in the previous expression previously to explain Newton's third law using second law. Now what exactly is that? So no external force, if no external force is acting on a system, then total momentum of the system is conserved, and so the total initial momentum of the system is equal to total final momentum of the system. Now see, if you have two objects, again same similar case, A and B, you moving with UA and UB collide with each other and then they separate out with different velocity VA and VB respectively. So there will be force acting between them at this place at the time of collision, equal and opposite forces. Now proof for conservation. Now we are going to prove for conservation of momentum. Now here, no, there is no external force. There was force interaction between A and B. There was no any external force on it. So external force is 0. So that means if external force is 0, then action and reaction will only be there. FA is equal to minus FB. So we are starting from the third equation, third law. FA is equal to FB. Now I'll substitute expression for FA. It will be final momentum of A minus initial momentum of A upon time, and then this minus will come here, and final momentum of B minus final momentum of initial momentum of B upon time. On putting expression MAVB minus, final momentum of A is MAVB, initial momentum of A is MAUA by time, and here similarly putting here, now T and T will get cancelled. Okay, and so what is left is only the numerator, and on opening this side bracket, you see this expression, this minus, when I open this bracket, this minus, this term will become negative. Okay, this term will become negative and this term will become positive. So you see, okay, now if I take this negative here and this negative here, they become positive, and what we get is MAUA plus MBUB is equal to MAVA plus MBVB. That means this term is total initial momentum of the system and this term is total final momentum of the system. Okay, so this is how it's proved. Okay, now if we take an example, here is a balloon which is pasted to a straw, and straw is inserted in a thread which is kept tight, straight. Okay, connected to two hooks which are not moving. So now if you open this, there's a hole. If you loosen this side, so air will come out. So if air comes out from this side, what will happen? Air will come out with some force, and so there will be an opposite force acting on the balloon, and that is the reason balloon goes forward direction. So here there is another activity given in NCERT where you take a test tube and some water in it, and then close the test tube mouth with a cork, and then hang it, and then there's a Bunsen burner, and you start heating this liquid. The water will start to boil and it will become to steam. Now steam will occupy, volume will increase, it will occupy the entire space and will try to push this cork out. There will be one time when the cork will be really pushed out. There will be force acting in this direction, and so reaction will act on the test tube and it will move backward. Thank you, children.